Welcome to another deep dive. We're going to be exploring a really interesting book today by Rudyard Kipling.
Oh, Kipling.
Yeah, you probably know him from The Jungle Book,
Right.
but this is a completely different side to his work.
Okay.
And we're going to be looking at Kim.
Okay.
And this book takes us to British India in the early 1900s.
Wow.
During this period of intense rivalry between Britain and Russia known as the Great Game.
The Great Game. That's
Yeah, it sounds kind of ominous, right?
Yeah, it does.
So basically the question we're exploring today is how does a book published over a century ago still hold relevance and spark debate today?
Good question.
So let's dive into the heart of Kipling's Kim.
Okay.
What do we find?
So Kim is fascinating because it goes way beyond just a spy thriller.
Okay.
It really grapples with some big questions about identity, about belonging, and the impact of colonialism. And you know what? These questions are still relevant today.
It's amazing how a book written so long ago can still speak to us today, right?
Absolutely.
So let's jump into the book and see what we can discover.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So the story introduces us to Kim, an orphan,
Right?
who grows up on the bustling streets of Lahore.
Okay.
Now he's a fascinating character.
Right.
Because he exists in two worlds.
Oh, wow. Tell me more about this.
Yeah. So he's got the British colonial world
Okay.
and his native Indian culture. So it's like this
Underneath
constant
stuff.
Yeah, it's like this constant code switching back and forth.
Exactly.
He's got to move between these different identities depending on who he's with.
And that's exactly what makes him so valuable in the world of espionage.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine somebody who can blend in, gather information, and move between these social circles
Right.
without raising suspicion.
It's almost like a superpower, isn't it?
It is.
But at the same time, I mean, it's got to take a toll. You're constantly adapting.
Right.
Who is the real Kim under all those layers?
That's the question.
Yeah.
That's the question at the heart of this novel.
Yeah. Does he ever find a unified sense of self or
does he remain fragmented?
Yeah.
Caught between these two worlds?
You've got to read the book to find out, I guess.
You really do.
All right. So we've got this young boy
Right.
already straddling two cultures, then gets pulled into the world of espionage.
Wow.
Like, that's a lot for anyone to handle.
Yeah.
Especially as a teenager. But wait, there's more. There's more. The story doesn't stop there.
Okay.
There's a whole other dimension to Kim's journey.
Okay.
What's that?
So while the Great Game, this backdrop of intrigue and danger is happening, Kim's journey with the Tibetan Lama adds this whole other layer of complexity.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they embark on this pilgrimage across India, and it becomes this search for enlightenment and spiritual truth.
So we're not just talking about a spy novel. We're talking about faith.
Yes.
Spirituality, a search for meaning.
Exactly.
Kipling really weaves these different threads together.
He does.
Adventure, espionage, and this spiritual exploration.
And that's what makes it so rich and so multifaceted.
Yeah, it's a coming-of-age story, spy thriller, and cultural exploration all in one.
It's all of those things.
And it's all set against this backdrop of Kipling's India.
Yes. His incredibly vivid portrayal of India.
It's like stepping back in time.
It is.
You can almost feel the dust and hear the sounds, smell the spices in the air.
I love that.
But this depiction, while fascinating, it's not without controversy.
That's right. We have to remember that Kipling was writing from a perspective of a British citizen during the British Empire.
At the height of the British Empire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So while he captures the vibrancy and complexity of Indian life, his perspective is inevitably shaped by his background.
By the power dynamics of the time.
Yes, exactly.
So how should we approach Kim today? I mean, do we just dismiss it as a product of its time, or is there something to glean from it?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
While it's crucial to read it with an awareness of its historical context, the potential for bias, we shouldn't shy away from engaging with those complexities.
Yeah, I mean, it's those complexities that make it such a rich read.
Exactly.
So how do we reconcile the adventure, the cultural exploration, and the fact that it's told through a colonial lens?
Well, one way to approach it is to think about how Kim reflects the ambiguities and contradictions of its time.
Okay.
Even as it celebrates aspects of British rule, it reveals those inherent flaws and the inequalities that were there.
So it's not just like a straight endorsement
Oh, absolutely not.
of British colonialism.
Nope. We look closely, we see moments
Uh,
where Kipling's perspective seems to shift.
oh, interesting.
He offers a more nuanced,
Okay.
even critical view
Yeah.
of the British Empire and its impact.
Give me an example.
One example is Kim's relationship
Mhm.
with the British agents who recruit him.
Okay.
They see him as this valuable asset,
Uh,
a clever native boy
right.
who can gather intelligence.
Right.
But they underestimate
Yeah.
his intelligence and agency.
It's like he's not just a pawn in their game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's got his own motivations and desires.
So you've got this tension then
So much tension.
between the British authorities who believe in their own superiority,
Yeah.
right to rule,
Uh-huh.
and you got Kim
Yeah.
who's trying to navigate this system
Right.
while maintaining a sense of self.
Yes.
Yeah, that's got to be difficult.
And that tension, that's what makes it so compelling.
Okay.
It's not a black and white story.
Right.
It's a story about ambiguity,
Mm-hmm.
navigating power dynamics,
Yeah.
and trying to forge an identity
Right.
in a world that's constantly shifting.
I mean, we all experience that to some degree.
Absolutely.
Even if we're not teenage spies,
That's right.
we're always navigating these different worlds, trying to figure out who we are.
Yeah, and that's just one way that Kim speaks to us.
Okay.
There's so much more to unpack in this novel.
Yeah, before we dive in,
Okay.
I'm curious about The Great Game.
Yes.
What was it about?
So The Great Game was this fascinating period.
Okay.
It was all about Britain and Russia
Mm-hmm.
vying for influence in Central Asia.
Oh, wow.
Imagine a chessboard
Okay.
stretching across mountains and deserts and kingdoms
Wow.
with spies and soldiers and diplomats
Right.
all making their moves.
It sounds like something out of a
Doesn't it?
Jean Le Carré novel.
It really does.
But this was real life.
But this was real life.
Okay, wow.
It was a high-stakes game.
Yeah.
Power, intrigue, and it had a huge impact.
I see why Kipling chose to set the book against this backdrop.
And perfect for it.
Adds this tension and uncertainty to everything that's happening.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious about the spiritual side.
Yes.
Kim's journey with the llama. What can you tell me about that?
This is really the heart of the novel.
Okay.
On the surface, a simple pilgrimage,
Right.
quest for enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
But as they travel across India,
Yeah.
their relationship becomes this exploration
Oh, wow.
of different ways of seeing the world.
So it's not just about finding a physical destination.
No, it's not just about that.
It's about finding yourself
Yeah.
along the way.
That's exactly it.
So the llama is searching for this sacred river
He is.
that he believes will wash away his sins.
Yeah.
Kim's got a more pragmatic view.
Well, he's been steeped in the world of spies and secrets.
Yeah, that's right.
He's always observing, analyzing, figuring out how to survive
Yeah.
in this complex world.
That makes me think about that scene
Which one?
where Kim has to choose between following the llama
Yes.
and his work with the Secret Service.
It's a turning point.
A turning point in the novel.
It really is.
Right.
And it forces us to ask,
Yeah.
can these two worlds,
Yeah.
the spiritual and the material,
Yeah.
coexist?
That's a good question.
Can Kim find a way to reconcile
Yeah.
his worldly duties with his search for something deeper?
Or does he have to choose?
Does he have to choose one over the other?
I mean, that's something we can all relate to.
Absolutely.
Right.
It is.
Even if we're not running around as teenage spies,
We've all felt that pull.
torn between those things.
Torn between the two.
Worldly success and searching for something more meaningful.
Yeah, and that's the brilliance of Kim.
Yeah. What is it?
It takes these big events,
Yeah.
these huge philosophical questions,
Right.
and weaves them
Yeah.
into a story that feels intensely personal
All right.
and relatable.
We've talked about Kim, his divided loyalties navigating these worlds.
Uh-huh.
What about the llama?
Ah, the llama.
How does he view Kim?
Well, the llama sees Kim
Yeah.
as a chela, a disciple.
Okay.
He wants to guide him to enlightenment.
Right.
But he's also aware of Kim's more worldly nature.
His cunning.
Yes, his adaptability.
Right.
In many ways, the llama represents this pure, innocent perspective,
Mm-hmm.
while Kim embodies the complexities
Yeah.
of the real world.
So a study in contrasts then.
A study in
It's
contrast.
this wise spiritual figure seeking enlightenment.
Yeah.
And then you've got this streetwise kid trying to find his place.
Exactly.
Do they learn from each other?
They do. Their journey becomes a mutual education.
Okay.
The llama learns about the world through Kim.
And Kim starts to glimpse
Yeah,
this world beyond the material.
he does.
A world of spiritual possibility.
Yes.
But it's not always smooth sailing, is it?
Of course not.
There's clashes.
They clash.
Right.
They misunderstand each other.
And challenge.
They're challenged constantly by these forces around them.
So their relationship is kind of reflecting the broader themes of the novel, right?
Yes.
This clash between cultures, search for identity, struggle to find meaning in this world that feels
this chaotic world.
Chaotic and uncertain.
That's right. That's why it resonates today.
Yeah, why does it still speak to us?
It's a story about those universal human experiences.
Yeah, we all experience those.
Even though it's set
in
a very specific time and place.
Right.
This search for connection, longing for belonging, challenges of navigating.
A world that's pulling us
in different directions.
Speaking of connections, I'm curious about how Kim has been interpreted.
Oh, that's interesting.
You mentioned earlier, it's been viewed as both a celebration of British imperialism, but also a critique of it.
Right.
So how has its reception changed over time?
That is a great question. And it gets to the heart of why it's so important to engage with complex literature.
Okay, so...
You see, Kim's reception has been anything but straightforward.
Really?
Oh, it's been praised, criticized, and reinterpreted.
So it's a book that refuses to be put in a box.
It does. It really does.
Why is that?
I think it's because Kim holds up this mirror to our own evolving understanding of the world.
When it was first published, it was seen as a tale of adventure, celebration of British power. But as time went on and awareness of the injustices of colonialism grew, people began to see it.
They see it in a different light.
So the lens through which we read
totally changes how we interpret it.
Changes our interpretation.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And that's why it's so fascinating
to
grapple with. It challenges us to think critically about history, power, and the stories we tell ourselves.
It seems like there's no one right way.
There isn't.
To read Kim.
No, there isn't.
It's a book that invites these multiple interpretations. Encourages us to question our assumptions.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so valuable. It sparks conversations, challenges us to see the world.
From different perspectives.
And helps us understand ourselves a bit better.
Thinking back to Kim's journey. You think he ultimately finds that sense of belonging?
Well, that's a good question.
Or does he remain...
Does he remain caught?
Caught between worlds.
It's a question every reader has to answer. Some might see his final choice as a resolution.
A moment where he finally chooses.
A moment where he finally chooses one path. But others might interpret it as a compromise. That true belonging might lie in embracing the complexities
of his
identity, even if it means living with ambiguity.
So the ending
is open.
Is open to interpretation.
Just like the rest of the novel.
It's not a neat, tidy conclusion.
It's not. It stays with you.
It stays with you. Keeps you thinking.
Keeps you thinking.
That's the power of great literature.
That's the power of great literature.
It doesn't offer easy answers or solutions.
No, it doesn't.
It invites us in, challenges us.
It really does.
And we're left
with more to think about.
With more to ponder.
More to ponder, yes.
And Kim does that.
Kim certainly does that.
Takes us on this journey through colonial India, through the world of espionage, through the depths of the human heart.
They're the depths of the human heart.
It's thrilling and thought-provoking.
It really is.
Continues to resonate over a century later.
It's amazing. So to our listener, we encourage you to pick up Kim. Embark on your own journey.
See what you find.
See what you find. What questions will it raise?
How will it shape your understanding?
How will it shape your understanding?
Of history, identity, and storytelling.
Storytelling.
Let us know.
Let us know.
What you think.
Let's keep the conversation going.
Keep the conversation going. That's what this deep dive is all about.
Absolutely. You see, Kim's reception has been anything but straightforward. It's been praised, criticized, reinterpreted in so many ways.
It sounds like a book that refuses to be put in a box. Why do you think that is?
I think because Kim holds up a mirror to our own evolving understanding of the world. When it was first published, it was often read as a tale of adventure, a celebration of British power. But as time went on and awareness of the injustices of colonialism grew, people began to see Kim in a different light.
So the lens through which we read the story changes our interpretation of it. That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. And that's why Kim continues to be such a fascinating text to grapple with. It challenges us to think critically about history, about power, and about the stories we tell ourselves about the world.
It seems like there's no one right way to read Kim. It's a book that invites multiple interpretations and encourages us to question our own assumptions.
Precisely. And that's what makes it so valuable. It's a book that sparks conversations, challenges us to see the world from different perspectives, and ultimately helps us to understand ourselves a little bit better.
Thinking back to Kim's journey, do you think he ultimately finds a sense of belonging? Or does he remain caught between worlds?
That's a question that every reader has to answer for themselves. Some might see Kim's final choice in the novel as a resolution, a moment where he finally chooses one path over the other, but others might interpret it as a kind of compromise, a recognition that true belonging might lie in embracing the complexities of his identity, even if it means living with a certain amount of ambiguity.
So the ending is open to interpretation, just like the rest of the novel. It's not a neat, tidy conclusion. It's a story that stays with you and keeps you thinking long after you've finished reading it.
That's the power of great literature, isn't it? It doesn't offer easy answers or simple solutions. It invites us into a world of questions, challenges us to confront our own biases, and ultimately leaves us with more to ponder than when we began.
And Kim certainly does that. It takes us on a journey through colonial India, through the shadowy world of espionage, and through the depths of the human heart. It's a story that's both thrilling and thought-provoking, and it's one that continues to resonate with readers over a century after it was written.
So to our listener, we encourage you to pick up Kim and embark on your own journey of discovery. What will you see in its pages? What questions will it raise for you? And how will it shape your understanding of history, identity, and the enduring power of storytelling? Let us know what you think and keep the conversation going. After all, that's what the deep dive is all about. It's amazing, isn't it?
It really is.
How a book written so long ago can still speak to us.
I think it's because we're still grappling with some of the same questions.
Oh, absolutely. Like identity, belonging,
Power.
the impact of the past on the present.
It's like Kipling tapped into something universal.
He really did. And you know what?
What?
That's what makes Kim so enduring.
Yeah, it's not just a historical artifact. It's a story that continues to challenge us.
To make us think, to question our assumptions.
Which is what a good book should do.
Exactly. It should provoke us. It should stay with us long after we've finished reading.
And Kim definitely does that. I mean, we've been talking about it for a while now.
And we've only scratched the surface.
There's so much more to explore.
The layers of meaning, the historical context, the symbolism.
It's a book that rewards multiple readings.
Each time you come back to it, you see something new.
I think that's a good place to wrap up our deep dive into Kim.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating journey.
So to our listeners, we encourage you to pick up the book and see what you discover.
Dive into the world of Kim and the Great Game, explore the themes of identity and belonging.
And let us know what you think.
We'd love to hear your interpretations, your insights.
Because that's what this deep dive is all about, sharing our passion for literature.
And engaging in thoughtful conversations.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those pages turning.